Welcome back. You're with us on Trading Hour. Let's quickly put the spotlight on a corporate conversation. CMS Infosystems saw growth in the bottom line in the third quarter, boosted by other income. To discuss the prospects of the company as we look at the final quarter as well as the next year, we have with us Anush Raghavan, who is the president of cash management business at CMS Infosystems. Anush, thanks so much for being with us. Just looking at some of the details, I mean, your revenue was up almost 22% year on year. Quarter on quarter, there was about a 4% growth, and profitability increased. I'm even seeing a margin expansion at the end of the third quarter. Tell us more about the trends that you've witnessed in the business in the fourth quarter. Has it been as strong as Q3?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. I think if you look at the history of the company, especially for the last few quarters, since the time just before and since the time that we went public with our IPO about 12 months back, we've had the privilege of having a very strong order book during the time of the IPO, which was almost 2,000 crores. Much of FY23 has been focused on the order execution and implementation of the order book. And as our share of revenue has switched from cash-based revenue to more non-cash in the form of technology and remote monitoring services, and those revenues coming on full stream has what has helped drive our margin growth. Over the last 3 to 4 years, our revenue CAGR has been about 13% over the last 4 years, but our profit CAGR has been almost 32%. So that sort of continues to play out in these current quarters, as you see. Our margin expansion has been on the order of almost 500 basis points. We used to be at about 23% EBITDA 2 to 3 years back, and that's closer to 28% EBITDA margins as we speak. Going forward, and we had a 4-year guidance that we had given for the period from FY21 to FY25. And idea was we had guided to a doubling of our revenues from 1,300 crores to 2,600 crores over that 4-year period, which sort of comes to almost 18% CAGR. We are halfway through that journey. We've had about 8 quarters of almost 20% revenue growth. So looking forward, based on the order book that we've been able to further build up over the last 9 months, we've been able to secure additional order wins of almost 1,000 crores. We feel fairly confident of being able to achieve that guidance.
Okay, you seem confident that you can achieve that guidance. Anush, thanks for joining us. This is Pavitra. I just want to ask you a slightly more, zoomed out kind of question. What is the kind of opportunity that you see in this entire ATM business? And currently, what is the number of ATMs that you have which are just under your service?
Thank you. Absolutely, Pavitra. So when you look at our revenue streams of CMS, I think what we've been able to build over the last few years is today a diversified business services company which caters to a set of BFSI and organized retail, which need the presence of a company like us, which has its presence across the length and breadth of the country. 2/3 of the revenue that we get today come from cash management. And when we sort of fast forward and look at our guidance of FY25, we think almost 40% of our revenue should come from technology, managed services, and AI-based remote monitoring. But having said that, and we look at the opportunities in the cash business, over the last 9 months, we've actually seen an increase in the cash usage in metros by order of almost 15%. And when I look at the sort of short to mid-term potential going forward, we have the private sector banks which have made announcements that over the next 2 to 3 years, they intend to expand almost 10 to 12,000 bank branches. We will obviously be a benefactor of that business expansion. On the ATM side, the country has seen an addition of almost 20,000 ATMs in the last 2 years. And there are various RFPs by public sector banks in different stages of the pipeline, which amounts to almost 40,000 ATM additions. So that sort of itself presents a very interesting growth opportunity for the core part of our businesses. Switching to the remote monitoring, which is sort of the newest business, we entered into this only about 15 months back on the back of a very small acquisition. When we acquired this company, they had just about 1,000 sites under installation. In the last 12 months, we've been able to expand this to more than 20,000 sites. And what we're offering in remote monitoring is sort of the Gen 3.0 of that sector, so to speak, which is really an upgrade to what was earlier surveillance and then became remote monitoring. And today what we're offering is sort of business insights backed by data to companies. So for instance, if you had to sort of use our IoT-based software, you'll be able to figure out at any point in time, if you're running a bank branch, for instance, how many visitors did you have? what is the average time that it took to service those visitors? What is the sheer amount of waiting time, for instance? So sort of very interesting. And that business has seen an expansion, a significant expansion over the last 12 months. As we speak, we are sort of almost hitting 100 crore revenue run rate.
Just very quickly, I think you said the order book, the order wins so far have been 1,000 crores in FY23?
Yes, that's right. So we started our IPO with a 2,000 crore order book, most of which we have executed on. And we have sort of continued with that win momentum and built an additional 1,000 crores of order wins in the last 3 quarters.
Okay, so till December, the order wins are about 1,000 crores.
Yes, that's right.
And in January and February, have you won any more orders?
I think we'll talk about that as we finish Q4.
Sure.
But, one of the interesting order wins that we've had in this last 9 months has been, we have a proprietary software algo, which seeks to help banks manage the security of their ATMs better. And, today almost 30% of India's ATMs are secured by our proprietary software.
Right.
And one of the orders that we won was to help one of the largest public sector banks with an incremental 15,000-20,000 ATMs.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in and all the very best. For the markets, we've managed to recover some losses. So now, we're above the 200-day moving average on the Nifty. And look at the way the banks are surging. 300-point rally now on the Nifty.